Welcome to Model Horse Tack School. My name is Carrie, and today somebody had asked me, can you use the Rio Rondo tree with my patterns? And yes, for the most part, you can, if that's what you like. So this is the Rio Rondo pattern. Of course, I have a copy, and of course, I've made these before. And then this is the Rio Rondo two-piece tree. I think they have some one-piece ones now, but since I don't have to buy anybody's trees, and this is just from a project I think I used the Rio Rondo on my trees, and so I didn't need this tree. Now, there's pros and cons to a two-piece tree. It's way easier to wrap this, okay? Which is why on my trees I have you wrap this before you put it on. Now, you don't have to. You can glue it onto the tree base and then wrap it. It's totally up to you, but it is easier to wrap this up if it's separate. All right. Now, what you have to do then is you glue this wrapped onto your lower seat here to make sure it doesn't move. And you got to make sure you have that in the right place, or then your back of your seat won't be in the right place. So I don't really like this tree. I think it's too easy to make mistakes. There were certain things that I found more difficult with the two-piece. I mean, you could obviously, if you wanted to, glue this. These are too long. I never did like how long this is. So I usually trimmed it off. You know, right there around the hump, I'd trim it off. But if you trim too much, then your front piece doesn't work. So you just kind of have to deal with this hanging down. So what we can do is look at my pattern and the Rio Rondo pattern and show you the differences, so you can see where you would probably want to use one or the other. So first thing is, my skirts are shorter. All right, my skirts are the shortened version here. So it says shortened there. Okay, that's the length of my skirts. Okay. I find one of the things that bothered me about a lot of saddles I saw is that you were too far over into the loin area. So I always wanted to push that forward, especially because there's a lot of sculptors who, no matter what the breed, they give it an Arabian length back. Kathleen Moody, love her. She's my favorite sculptor. Fantastic. My drum horse is Othello, I think you guys call it. And I called it the drum horse, which was then made without the drum set. And that's my favorite model. I mean, it melts my heart to look at it. It's a Kathleen Moody. It has a really short back for a draft. So the newer models are a little better, where they have longer backs and less Arabian type backs. But I always wanted something that was not going to sit on the loin. You want it away from the loin. And you certainly don't want it on the hips, okay? A lot of times I see it, people have the saddle's too big for the model, and so it'd be right here, and that means the saddle is ill-fitting. Like the Arabians have Arabian saddles made because they don't have as many vertebrae. So this is a nice long back, okay? And so a saddle's gonna fit really good. So here's an older Brer model. This is came out as Black Beauty. It's what I know him as. So that's where this would fit. So this would fit, if it did fit. I mean, if I got it all set, it's going to be just right along that loin line. See, this is actually the loin right here. This is where there's no ribs, so that's your loin right in here. So that's about as big as we can get away with. And it's covering the loin, but there's not going to be any weight on the loin, okay? And see how it's set to just fit right there? That means if you're using the long version, if you're using the normal version of the Rio Rondo, your skirts are too long. Width is about the same. This is just the difference in the the shape of the skirt, because you can change this any way you want. Rio Rondo has a whole page of different skirts. It's a PDF you can download from their site. I recommend doing that. And that'll just get you more options for making Western saddles. Okay. So will this fit? Yes, it will fit. It's going to be a little long. And just keep that in mind. You might actually want to take a little bit of this off. You don't have to, but it will fit. Okay. And then let's talk about this piece. Now, this piece for mine, I'm going to try and put that where it's supposed to be. For my trees, this is fine. You will want to trim and make this straight here on both sides to fit here. But you'd need to modify because there's not enough room in here. If you just cut it straight, and it won't be seen because this piece here is going to cover it. All right, so that's that piece. Now mine is designed so here it's been scored so I can turn that into a Cheyenne roll. You know, I haven't even started assembly, but anyways, if you're going to use this piece, leave the Cheyenne roll on, don't score it. And then you put it on where you want it, and then you're going to want to trim. You could pen line around here and then trim this off. So it works if you don't use it as a Cheyenne roll, so don't do the scoring that I did. That's how I would deal with that. Now the seat, my seat, this is kind of like, I did this on an embroidery machine, so it has the staying on the back. So this is going to be about the same, but what I would recommend, because you're not going to have the stitching, is you make this flush and then this you roll over before you put on your, what is it? Cantle piece. Now this cantle piece is too short. You're going to need to increase its length by about 1/4 inch. Okay. And you would use the straight one, not the curved one. The curved one won't work. And then you can't do the Cheyenne roll like you can do with mine, but you would use this. It just needs to be a little bit longer. Let's see. So that cantle piece, you need to lengthen it. So you need to lengthen it. All right. So remember that cantle piece needs to be a little longer. And you can use the seat, and I would fold it over, and then that gives you more for this piece to stick to anyways, okay? But I would skive this edge here nice and thin so it'll do it. All right, so we're okay with the seat. We covered that. All right. Rigging. My cinch, front and rear. So my rear cinch is exactly the same length. My front cinch is shorter. My billet straps are the same as theirs. So let's talk about rigging. All right, I have this piece for rigging, and you should probably glue that to the underside of this. And that just seems wonky to me, but whatever. Or you could glue it after you put the jump rings on, right? You put the jump rings on, and then you put the billet strap on the jump ring. Okay, you understand what I mean by rigging here? So, and then that goes to the cinch. So this is what attaches to the saddle. So you could glue it right here, and then glue this on top. Okay, so you would want it, you know, right about there. And that, it's a pain. But yeah, you could do that. All right. The rear rigging is pretty simple. It's just this strap, and then you just fold it over whatever length. Mostly you want it to show, just barely show on your jockeys. Okay, so this is not going to be a lot of fold over. You could lengthen if you want to, but usually you don't see the strap to the D-rings. You just see the D-rings sticking below. So that's how you would judge that, okay, is to use your rear jockey as a guide, and then you would put it, usually it's right under the seat. So, so it'd be right under the seat. So I would fold it in half, find center of the tree, and then glue it on. This piece is not going to fit. It's way too small. All right. And technically, when I do these, I don't even need that piece because I could just dye this, and then it's less bulk to deal with. If you have the Rio Rondo pattern, I would just use that piece. Let's talk about stirrups real quick, because we did rigging, so we'll talk about stirrups. Now my trees have a place to slip this in so that you can have adjustable. I use, I mean, you can adjust with whatever you want, but I use buckles, 1/4 inch buckles. So that would go in there after I skived it because these are a little thick. But there you go. That's how I would do it. Buckle in the back. Well, you don't have that here. So you would need to either Dremel in some slits here, or you're going to have to put, get like a piece of, you know, 1/4 inch leather lace. That wouldn't be it. And use jump rings. And I would use 8, 9, or 10. 9's good. 8's probably the smallest. For the size of this, I would go 8. And then you would glue it. You would put a jump ring on either side. Make sure it's centered. And right about here is right. It's going to be back from your pommel. All right, so if your pommel's here, it'll be back from that, so it can move. The stirrups can move. Oh, one last thing is for the pommel. Now, my piece is smaller, and a lot of that is because the skiver is so expensive. I wanted the smallest piece possible. So, and this piece has my curve. I do 2 lines on it, one straight, one's curved. So let's pretend this is the straight, because I don't want to have to cut another piece. With the curved, basically what it is it puts the edge of the skiver there, and then this gullet piece matches. And then that lip is where you put like your silver, your studs, or your you can lace it in silver or whatever. Okay, that's how I try to get that edge. So here's an example. Okay, so that covers my pommel, and then this, which did not come out as well as I wanted, but there you go. Okay, that's what it looks like. So if you're going to use my my pattern, you're going to want to cut straight, and then you're going to want probably the same amount more that you have on the front. Okay, so you can close it up or you're going to want this piece. Let me show you the difference in size. So mine is, they've got a significant amount here in the front because they cover underneath as well. And as far as the back, I think there's enough to cover the back. I believe it's covered. They just have you mush it together, right? So you would want a little bit more in the back. So keep that in mind. This is with my pattern. I use less skyver. The horn should fit. The horn piece. Now, the top horn. So this is from Real Saddle Piece, and what they do is they put it there, they wrap it there, and then they wrap it there, and then they cover it in this. Okay, that's the way they do it. So you can certainly use the piece they have. They just do have a horn top and a horn bottom. Not gonna, in my pattern, if you wanted, you could just wrap it once, you know, close it up, that's fine. And then the horn piece should fit. Where'd it go? We glue this, and then around and around, or you could even go down if you want, and then clip it there, depending how you want to do that. And then this piece really only needs, no, I take it back. You'll probably need, this piece will need to be bigger. I think that's it. I was going over all the pieces, and everything else seemed pretty much very similar to mine. So it's up to you if you want to use this tree. I do find I don't like two-piece. I think it's harder to get them right, and then it's just, I don't know. I don't like them. After I created this pattern, it's cheap. I mean, I think these are $15–20 now, and this was scrap leather. So it was stuff I was almost going to throw away anyways, except for the skyver here. That's how you can use the Rio Rondo tree with my pattern. So thank you for spending time with me today. Like, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel. Have yourself a really good day.